I'm going to start with the presentation part of it so that you guys generally tend to, relate to now. कि ये कैसे होता है. So now acute inflammation is basically nothing but it is a response to physical and a chemical damage which can occur in our bodies. So people are able to see the presentation which I have shared with you.
Yeah.
Okay. So, and once we have this kind of a acute inflammation, so we will see that, there are telltale signs कि उसमें pain हो रहा है, गर्मी सी लग रही है, कहीं पर भी इंजरी लगती है, suddenly feel that there is a lot of heat which is there. Redness हो जाती है, swelling हो जाता है. So, what is the end result of this particular inflammation? That there is eventually going to be a repair of tissue, which is the body's mechanism to treat itself is going to get into a situation कि वो अपने आप उस चीज को रिपेयर कर लेती है. और ये जो एक्यूट इन्फ्लेमेशन है वो किस टाइप से हम जो है जनरली वी कम अक्रॉस ऑल दीज थिंग्स. कहीं हमें बर्न हो गया, कट लग गया, कोई एलर्जी हो गई, कोई ट्रॉमा है, कोई इन्फेक्शन है, तो ये सारी चीजें जो हैं दीज आर पार्ट ऑफ द एक्यूट इन्फ्लेमेशन पार्ट ऑफ इट. लेकिन ये हमारे तो खेलते हुए हो सकता है, काम करते हुए हो सकता है, ऑल दीज थिंग्स एंड वी डोंट इवन थिंक कि ये it's part of our lives. But the problem arises once you go to a doctor and he says कि आपको तो इन्फ्लेमेशन है, और आप ये बोल रहे हो कि ठीक है यार, कभी कभी घुटने में दर्द होता है, कभी उठने बैठने में आई हैव पेन इन माय स्लाइट बैक में होता है, कई बारी मेरे को जो है गर्दन में दर्द होता है, और जनरली आई हैव अ फीलिंग वेयर इन आई हैव सम सॉर्ट ऑफ अ पेन समवेयर इन माय बॉडी. सो व्हाट इज दैट काइंड ऑफ अ थिंग? So that kind of a thing is basically chronic inflammation, which is nothing but it is a response to a certain underlying factors. जैसे कि this acute inflammation was a response कि आपका टिश्यू कहीं डैमेज हो गया था, कट लग गया, बर्न हो गया. लेकिन ये जो रिस्पॉन्स है, that is a damage which is happening within your cells, or certain things which are causing a damage to the cells internally in your body, which is not visible to you from outside. But इसके telltale signs जो हैं, these are very difficult to decipher unless and until you have persistent pain, slow pain. आपको कई बारी पता भी नहीं चलता कि you are going through this particular phase of chronic inflammation. तो इसके टेलटेल साइंस नहीं है कि कहीं स्वेलिंग हो गया है, कहीं हमारे को बहुत ही ज्यादा दर्द हो रहा है एंड वी आर फीलिंग रेस्टलेस, कहीं रेडनेस है. हमें ये नहीं पता चलता. हमें पता तब चलता है जब प्रॉब्ली डॉक्टर वो टेल अस कि अरे यार आपको तो आप यू आर हैविंग लॉट ऑफ इन्फ्लेमेशन. एंड कैन वी फाइंड आउट कि हमें ये क्रॉनिक इन्फ्लेमेशन है या नहीं है? यस, वी कैन फाइंड आउट थ्रू अ ब्लड टेस्ट एंड अदर मार्कर्स व्हिच वी विल टॉक अबाउट लेटर. बट जैसे हमारी बॉडी एक एक्यूट इन्फ्लेमेशन में एक टिश्यू को रिपेयर कर लेती है, द सेम थिंग इज बॉडी इज ट्राइंग टू डू इन टर्म्स ऑफ क्रॉनिक इन्फ्लेमेशन ऑल्सो. वो रिपेयर करने में कोशिश कर रही है, लेकिन वो रिपेयर कर नहीं पा रही है बिकॉज इट इज द इन्फ्लेमेशन इज नॉट स्टॉपिंग. देयर आर मार्कर्स. वो जो प्रॉब्लम है वो सॉल्व नहीं हो रही है इन स्पाइट ऑफ बॉडी ट्राइंग टू डू इट टाइम एंड अगेन. सो व्हाट इज हैपनिंग कि उसका जो रिस्पॉन्स है, जिसके एक्शन में वो जो है बॉडी इज ट्राइंग टू डू ट्राइंग टू रिपेयर इट, वो खत्म ही नहीं हो रहा. It is on and on, and body is continuously trying to repair itself. So once this thing is not getting a closure loop, कि वो हो गया है and the body is fine with it, so that continues for a long period of time, और उसकी वजह से उसी particular phenomena को हम chronic inflammation बोलते हैं. and end result उसका क्या है? The end results can be really bad in terms of कि body बार बार ये कर रही है. सो बॉडी को अगर मौका नहीं मिल रहा है वहां तक ब्लड पहुंचाने का टू रिपेयर दैट पर्टिकुलर टिश्यू, इट विल स्टार्ट टू फॉर्म न्यू ब्लड वेसल्स, एंजियोजेनेसिस जिसको हम बोलते हैं. अलग तरीके से एक डिफरेंट डायरेक्शन से वहां पे ब्लड पहुंचाने की कोशिश करेंगे. बार बार रिपेयर करने के बाद भी अगर वहां पे रिपेयर नहीं हो रहा है तो यू विल सी दैट लॉट ऑफ कोलेजन एंड फाइब्रोब्लास्ट जो कि हमारे सेल्स के अंदर होते हैं, जो कि रिपेयर फंक्शन में इस्तेमाल होते हैं, सेम चीज जो कि हमारे कट में इस्तेमाल होती है वो वहां भी इस्तेमाल हो रही है, लेकिन वो ठीक नहीं हो रहा है. तो ओवर अ पीरियड ऑफ टाइम यू विल सी दैट दी वो जो टिश्यू है वो उसके अंदर फाइब्रोसिस आ जाता है, स्कार टिश्यू हो जाता है वो. सो नाउ द रिपेयर बिकम्स इवन मोर डिफिकल्ट इन दैट सेंस. तो ये क्रॉनिक डिसीजेस जो हैं और ये इन्फ्लेमेशन जो है वो किस टाइम में तरीके से मैनिफेस्ट हो रहा है, इन टर्म्स ऑफ आर ऑटोइम्यून डिजीजेस, कार्डियोवास्कुलर डिजीज, न्यूरोलॉजिकल डिजीज, कैंसर। तो ये चीजें जो हैं ये हमें ऐसे नहीं पता चल रही, somebody tells us कि हाँ आपको ये यू आर इन दैट डायरेक्शन और ये जो है ये प्रॉब्लम्स आपको हो रही। सो बेसिकली लेट्स से अ पर्सन हैज अ हार्ट अटैक बिकॉज ऑफ प्लाक इन हिज ब्लड वेसल्स, तो वो क्या है, व्हाट इज दैट थिंग? दैट थिंग इज बेसिकली ऑटोइम्यून डिजीज, या it's a chronic inflammation of the order where other things, the plaque is continuously forming in your body in spite of the body trying to get away with it, to do away with it. So that kind of a chronic inflammation is going to continue and it is going to last for a long, long time. And then we see कि ठीक है वो प्लाक बनना शुरू हुआ और वो कभी खत्म ही नहीं हुआ, एंड स्टेट वाज कि उसको हार्ट अटैक आ गया. Certain neurological diseases like multiple sclerosis and others, जहां पे आपकी जो माइलिन शीथ है उसके ऊपर जो है your own immunity starts attacking, spondyloarthropathy, rheumatoid arthritis. These are other autoimmune diseases जहां पे body is continuously trying to fight a response which eventually is getting triggered because of certain things. So मोटा मोटा जो है, I hope you are now able to relate between a acute versus a chronic inflammation part of it. Anybody has got any questions with respect to that?
PCOD would form part of this only?
Pardon, sir?
PCOD will form part of this only?
PCOD? PCOD technically it wouldn't, because and it would also to an extent, because it's I would say a fine line to draw. PCOD is happening because of chronic issues of wherein there is insulin insensitivity. So insulin resistance है जिसकी वजह से there is a hormonal disbalance which is there, which is leading to PCOD. It is since it is long lasting, it is chronic, but it is inflammatory in a sense that it would cause certain other things. No, it's not. It can be cured fairly easier or easily in terms of other chronic inflammation markers which are there. Sunil sir, anything you'd like to add to this particular aspect that can be classified PCOD as chronic?
PCOD is actually it is not can be, it is classified as chronic inflammation because PCOS, actually the syndrome PCOS is because of adenoplasty. It is called your too much of adipose tissue in the uterus and in the uterus. So the thing is that why it happens? Okay, it happens because of a reason which is hyperandrogenesis. Okay, the thing is, in layman terms, inflammation because of combination of glucose and protein which you are having, which turns into AGEs, which I'm sure he will be telling later. This makes the adipose tissue increase unnecessarily in the parts of the body where PCOD occurs. So chronic inflammation leads to increase in adipose tissue, which actually gets into the PCOD, that polycystic ovarian syndrome, which happens in the uterus, because of which missed periods and problems and pains in the period generally happens. Ultimately, there is a direct connection between PCOD and inflammation, which is absolutely there. So it is not can be, it is because of inflammation, chronic inflammation.
So now there are two things also to it. There is a PCOD and there is a PCOS. So there is a slight difference, but that difference is there. So PCOS, yes, is chronic inflammation. क्योंकि आपने PCOD पूछा था. So there is a technical, I would say, yes,
slight
no
difference.
to that.
Actually, syndrome is you don't know the cure of it. Anything which you don't know is a syndrome. Disease is something you know about it and you can cure it. Disease.
Okay. So, how can we identify a chronic inflammation? Typically, now if you see that अगर आपको, you're having persistent fatigue, थकान काफी रहती है आपको, time and again, over a period of long periods, months, weeks, probably, getting into years, joint pains, frequent infections अगर आपको हो रहे हैं, then probably you are in a zone where you may be having chronic inflammation. तो अगर किसी को दर्द है कहीं पर भी जो कि किसी चोट लगने की वजह से नहीं हुआ है, there is no physical injury which is there, or no chemical injury, no burn, nothing, then yes, you may be having chronic inflammation. That's the first marker. तो जिसके घुटनों में दर्द हो रहा है सीढ़ी चढ़ते हुए उतरते हुए, दे मे बी हैविंग दिस. कई लोगों को जो है वो दे आर हैविंग पेन इन योर नेक, जो कि स्पॉन्डिलोआर्थोपैथी हम जिसको बोलते हैं, दे मे बी अंडरगोइंग chronic inflammation. Anybody who feels ki his bowel movements are not proper, he may be having chronic inflammation. So anything which is putting you to unrest, for which you don't have a reason to, or you cannot identify, typically can be the cause of chronic inflammation. So how can we basically identify those? So if we carry out, let's say, a normal blood test, there are 2-3 levels जो कि अगर हम मेजर करते हैं, we would be coming to know कि हाँ यार इसको जो है chronic inflammation है. So जिसने अपने ब्लड टेस्ट कराए हैं, all those who are part of युवम, आपने अपना देखा था किसी का CRP लेवल आया था, ESR levels we were measuring, किसी का कोलेस्ट्रॉल भी काफी ज्यादा आया था, and there are certain cases where it was already known कि हाँ this guy has got an autoimmune problem, तो हमने उनके एंटीबॉडीज के टेस्ट भी कराए थे और देखे भी थे. So now what happens is, जब chronic inflammation होता है आपकी बॉडी के अंदर, तो लिवर एक प्रोटीन प्रोड्यूस करता है जिसको बोलते हैं सी रिएक्टिव प्रोटीन. Now this protein basically, the C reactive part is that ये प्रोटीन एक पर्टिकुलर सी पॉलीसैकेराइड होता है, एक बैक्टीरिया के रिसेप्टर को बाइंड कर लेता है. So let's say you have a chronic inflammation, it was found कि हाँ ये उनके रिसेप्टर्स को बाइंड कर लेता है. और जनरली जब chronic inflammation for one reason or the other बढ़ जाता है, तो liver starts producing this particular protein in your body. Generally at times it is inert, लेकिन जैसे ही inflammation, chronic inflammation हो जाता है, it becomes active. तो अगर इसका लेवल बहुत ज्यादा है CRP का in your blood test, then it is sure that you are having some kind of a chronic inflammation. Now it is not specific, which means that कि अगर CRP लेवल बढ़ा हुआ है तो वो ये नहीं बता रहा है कि वो किस रीजन से बढ़ा हुआ है. वो रीजन हमें अदर टेस्ट के बाद पता चलेगा, या हमें सिम्टम्स को जब हम उनको देखेंगे तब पता चलेगा. बट हमें ये पता चल जाएगा कि हाँ chronic inflammation है. So Ritura ma'am, अगर आप you've gone to the doctor and doctor has just seen the CRP levels and he would say if they are elevated कि आपको chronic inflammation है. कौन सा है, किस रीजन से है, he would not be knowing at that point of time. Similarly, अगर हमारी ESR levels ज्यादा आते हैं, persistently they have been high over a period of time, तो हमें पता चलता है कि हमारे अंदर chronic inflammation है. तो ये ESR क्या होता है? ESR is the सेडिमेंटेशन रेट हमारे रेड ब्लड सेल्स का, वो कितनी देर में सेटल डाउन होते हैं. अगर वो बहुत जल्दी सेटल डाउन हो रहे हैं while we are measuring, तो वो ESR लेवल जो है वो बहुत ऊपर दिखाएगा. लेकिन जल्दी सेटल डाउन क्यों हो रहे हैं? एक नॉर्मल रेंज होगी, एक उसको अगर वो इट्स पियर्सिंग दैट एंड गोइंग अहेड और वो जल्दी सेटल हो रहे हैं, तो इट इज बिकॉज कि जब हमने देखा था कि इन्फ्लेमेशन के टाइम में लॉट ऑफ फाइब्रोब्लास्ट्स जो हैं, जो कि रिपेयर के लिए काम आते हैं, कोलेजन विच इज पार्ट ऑफ द ब्लड, इट इज यूज्ड फॉर रिपेयरिंग दीज टिश्यूज. तो अगर वो कोलेजन और फाइब्रोब्लास्ट वगैरह के लेवल्स जब हमारे ब्लड में ज्यादा हो रहे हैं, जो कि नहीं होने चाहिए थे उतने, इसका मतलब दे आर देयर फॉर अ रीजन and they are trying to repair something. So that is why you see that now the red blood cells, वो जल्दी से settle हो रहे हैं because of the other proteins which are now present in your blood, जो कि उतने नहीं होने चाहिए थे. So now you have a elevated ESR level which is telling us कि ये भी chronic inflammation है. It is also not a specific test जो कि बता रहा है कि किस रीजन की वजह से हमें chronic inflammation है. ESR levels आए हैं या CRP levels आए हैं तो हमें ये पता है कि yes, there is inflammation. Now, between these two, CRP is a better predictor of inflammation than the ESR. Now, also at times we see that कि cholesterol लोगों का जनरली ज्यादा है. आप बोल रहे हो यार मैं तो तेल भी नहीं खाता, मैं ये भी नहीं करता, मैं वो भी नहीं करता, मेरा कोलेस्ट्रॉल जो है वो ज्यादा ही रहता है, और मैं तो अब समझ में नहीं आ रहा कि मैं ऐसा कौन सा ट्वीक करूं कि मेरा कोलेस्ट्रॉल कम आ जाए। नाउ यू आर वरीड अबाउट कोलेस्ट्रॉल क्योंकि आपको लगता है कि कोलेस्ट्रॉल से हार्ट अटैक होता है, बट दैट्स नॉट द केस। व्हाट इज द रोल ऑफ कोलेस्ट्रॉल इन आवर बॉडीज? कोलेस्ट्रॉल इज डूइंग 20 डिफरेंट थिंग्स, ऑल गुड थिंग्स, यू नो हार्डली अ बैड थिंग दिस गाय डज, जिसका नाम है कोलेस्ट्रॉल। नाउ इट इज एलिवेटेड व्हाई? बिकॉज जो भी हमारे सेल्स के वॉल्स हैं, यू नो दे आर मेड फ्रॉम कोलेस्ट्रॉल। जो हम मल्टीपल स्क्लेरोसिस की भी बात कर रहे थे कि माइलिन शीथ जो है उसको कवर भी कौन कर रहा है? कोलेस्ट्रॉल प्रोटेक्शन दे रहा है उसको, इनर ब्रेन्स। सो कोलेस्ट्रॉल का लेवल अगर हाई है, इसका मतलब इट इज देयर टू अगेन रिपेयर, इट्स लाइक अ बैंडेड विच इज अगर वो एलिवेटेड है, इसका मतलब क्या हो रहा है कि मोर एंड मोर रिक्वायरमेंट इज देयर ऑफ कोलेस्ट्रॉल टू डू अ सर्टेन थिंग। नाउ अगर आप बाहर से कोलेस्ट्रॉल नहीं खा रहे हो ऑयल के फॉर्म में, देन हाउ इट इज गेटिंग प्रोड्यूस्ड? कहां से आ रहा है? योर लिवर इज मेकिंग इट। सो 80% ऑफ द कोलेस्ट्रॉल your requirement of your body is, the liver makes it. So even if you're not going to have cholesterol, if still you're having a lot of cholesterol in your blood, which means that now your liver is producing it, and it is producing it for a reason. So one of the reasons is that there is chronic inflammation. Now, in certain cases, there are autoimmune bodies which are detected. ये autoimmune bodies are again in relation to that there is a autoimmune disease in your body, और वो क्यों हो रहा है, we'll talk about it later. लेकिन अगर वो bodies detect होती हैं, तो one can be sure that there is chronic inflammation. And how can we, outside of the blood test parameters कैसे पता लगा सकते हैं? We can go for MRI and ultrasound also. In certain cases, the imaging tells us कि हाँ इसको chronic inflammation. फॉर एग्जाम्पल अगर हम लिवर का अल्ट्रासाउंड कराएं या हम एक फाइब्रो स्कैन कराएं, तो वो बताएगा कि कितना फाइब्रोसिस हो चुका है, और फाइब्रोसिस क्यों हुआ था? बिकॉज वी नो दैट द एंड स्टेट ऑफ अ क्रॉनिक इन्फ्लेमेशन इज रिजल्टिंग इनटू फाइब्रोसिस। तो हमें इमेजिंग से भी पता चल सकता है, हमें एमआरआई से भी पता चल सकता है कि यस देयर इज अ क्रॉनिक इन्फ्लेमेशन अंडरलाइंग विच इज हैपनिंग। एमआरआई से हमें यह भी पता चलता है कि देयर आर न्यू ब्लड वेसल्स गेटिंग फॉर्म्ड, जो कि शायद उस जगह पे नहीं होने चाहिए थे। So that also tells us कि हाँ there is chronic inflammation which is happening. Now ये हो क्यों रहा है? We'll get to that. तो ये इंटरेस्टिंग पार्ट है कि हमें chronic inflammation क्यों हो रहा है। एक तरफ तो हम बोलते हैं कि every individual is very different being, और उसकी requirements अलग हैं, and their lifestyle is also quite different, और but we see that everybody kind of इज गेटिंग इनटू दिस जोन कि हर बंदे को कहीं ना कहीं अंदर दर्द है, एंड या उसके ब्लड मार्कर्स में सीआरपी लेवल्स बहुत हाई हैं, या उसके एएसआर लेवल्स बहुत हाई हैं, और ये बहुत कॉमन बात हो चुकी है आज की तारीख में। सो व्हाई इज दिस हैपनिंग? दिस इज हैपनिंग बिकॉज ऑफ सर्टेन रीजंस. सो वन ऑफ द रीजंस इज द काइंड ऑफ डाइट विच वी आर कंज्यूमिंग. सो वी टेंड टू कंज्यूम नाउ food which is not made by nature, but it is made by man. Any food which is made by man, what is the underlying principle? कि वो you can store it to have it later. That is why अगर हमें नेचर से ऐसा फूड मिल रहा होता है कि मैं रखता उसको और मैं एक साल बाद भी कंज्यूम कर लेता, तो आई थिंक देयर वाज नो रिक्वायरमेंट फॉर अ मैन टू बी प्रिपेयरिंग एनी और प्रोसेसिंग एनी काइंड ऑफ अ फूड. हम एक मैगी का पैकेट लाते हैं, उसको हम 6 महीने बाद बनाते हैं और खाते हैं आराम से, बिकॉज इट कैन बी स्टोर्ड फॉर अ लॉन्गर पीरियड ऑफ टाइम. That is what the industrialization has done. So now what they have done is they have done certain bad things to the natural food which was there, and created a process in ultra processed food which can now be stored for long so that a person can consume it. Now the only question one has to ask is, is it even food, or is it something which is very very different from what actually a food item is? So what we are having on a daily basis is basically which is not food. It is, you can call it as a ultra processed thing, because अगर वो प्रोसेस नहीं करते तो वो स्टोरेज के काबिल नहीं बनता. So what they have done is they have taken out all the fiber from it and mixed it with a lot of sugar and fats, the cheapest variety of those. Sugar में they're not even using normal sugar which we use. They are using um, high fructose corn syrup, जो कि which is being produced for I would say 1/10 of the normal sugar production. क्योंकि शुगर तो जनरली शुगर केन से बन रहा है हिंदुस्तान में, लेकिन यूएस इज प्रोड्यूसिंग लॉट ऑफ कॉर्न, जिससे कि हाई फ्रक्टोज कॉर्न सिरप इज गेटिंग मेड, which is creating even more havoc, which we'll talk about later. Now, तो ये जो अल्ट्रा प्रोसेस फूड है, इससे क्या हो रहा है, ऑक्सीडेटिव स्ट्रेस हो रहा है इनसाइड आवर सेल्स, which is creating a thing known as ROS and AGEs. ROS is reactive oxygen species. ये क्यों हो रहा है, I'll just talk about it. And उससे रिलेटेड एक चीज है जिसको बोलते हैं एडवांस ग्लाइकेशन एंड प्रोडक्ट्स. इसके बारे में हमने अपने पिछले कुछ एक लेक्चर्स में भी बात किया था, लेकिन दिस ROS थिंग विच यू नीड टू अंडरस्टैंड. सो नाउ व्हाट इज हैपनिंग इज, थोड़ी सी अगर हम सेल बायोलॉजी की बात कर लें, तो हमें ये पता है ना कि माइटोकॉन्ड्रिया जो है वो एनर्जी प्रोड्यूस करता है ऑक्सीजन लेके, उसको यूज करके देयर इज इलेक्ट्रॉन ट्रांसपोर्ट चेन, जिसकी वजह से लॉट ऑफ एटीपीज आर प्रोड्यूस्ड. इतना तो हमें सबने पढ़ा है, जिसने नहीं पढ़ा है वो हाथ खड़ा कर सकता है. So everybody knows that there is a mitochondria within our cells जो कि एनर्जी प्रोड्यूस करता है, और वो माइटोकॉन्ड्रिया इज बेसिकली अ स्लेव्ड बैक्टीरिया. They are so efficient in producing energy that human cells have made these bacteria as slaves. Every cell has it. तो वो यूज करता है ऑक्सीजन, जिसकी हेल्प से हम जो है एनर्जी प्रोड्यूस करते हैं when we combine glucose and oxygen together. So now what is happening is, कोई भी chemical reaction, is it a perfect reaction? Can anybody answer? कुछ ना कुछ बाय प्रोडक्ट्स होते हैं उसके. So now what happens is, जब mitochondria they are working fine, so they are making energy using glucose and oxygen. So now that efficiency is not there always. So कुछ ऑक्सीजन रेडिकल्स दे गेट प्रोड्यूस्ड, लेकिन अगर वो लिमिटेड टाइम के लिए प्रोड्यूस होते हैं और थोड़ी क्वांटिटी में प्रोड्यूस होते हैं, सो विद इन दी सेल इटसेल्फ दे आर एंटीऑक्सीडेंट्स व्हिच कंबाइन विद देम एंड न्यूट्रलाइज देम. ये हर एक के सेल में है. वी हैव गॉट ट्रिलियंस ऑफ सेल्स, एवरी सेल ऑफ आवर्स हैज एंटीऑक्सीडेंट्स विद इन द सेल, जो कि उसके साथ कंबाइन करके दे न्यूट्रलाइज दिस. But over a period of time, if we are doing certain things जिसकी वजह से this kind of radicals which are getting produced and the cell is not able to handle it, that is the time it can result to a thing known as oxidative stress, reactive oxygen species, जो कि it will now react with other things and create inflammation. And there are certain things जिसको हमने शायद लास्ट टाइम जो हमने फैट्स की बात करी थी, तो हमने एजीज की बात करी थी, एडवांस ग्लाइकेशन एंड प्रोडक्ट्स. सो दीज शुगर मॉलिक्यूल्स they have a tendency to attach with a protein and form a bond which cannot be broken, जिसको हम advanced glycation end products बोलते हैं, which leads to further plaquing of arteries. So now how this thing is coming up, it is because of the kind of food which we are eating, which is basically processed and ultra processed food. And this thing which was not supposed to be there initially is now leading to an inflammatory response within the body. अगर वो थोड़ा बहुत है तो body is going to be automatically cater to it. अगर वो बार बार हो रहा है, the frequency is too high or the load is too high, then it results into chronic inflammation in the body. So this is as far as diet is concerned. Now diet से ही related there are another things like do anybody knows that we are more of a bacteria than a human? Is this statement correct or wrong? Can anybody comment on it?
Yeah, it's correct.
Okay, that's good. Why? Because there are two things. Like अभी तो मैंने बोला ही था, there is a slave bacteria in our cells known as mitochondria. वो तो है ही. And mitochondria का अपना DNA. Now mitochondria's DNA interacts with our nucleus, cell का nucleus, millions of times a second. Now even outside in our gut, we have trillions of bacteria and microbiota, in a sense that not only bacteria, there are fungi, protozoas, even virus. Now they are there for a reason. The reason is that it is a symbiotic relationship between a human and these microbes. So now till the time these microbes are doing well, we will also continue to do well. If these microbes some way or the other are not doing well, then it is a direct repercussion on our health. Now this happens for a perfectly, let's say, healthy person. Everything is in sync. There is a homeostasis level between, they're also healthy and we are also healthy. Now let's say that they become unhealthy, then what happens? So if these guys become unhealthy, then a lot of havoc can be created, which would further lead to inflammatory response in a body. And if it continues to happen for a longer period of time, it will turn into chronic inflammation. तो हो क्या रहा है कि जो हम अल्ट्रा प्रोसेस फूड ले रहे हैं उसके अंदर क्या चीज मिसिंग है? मनीषा मैम, इफ यू कैन आंसर दैट. मनीषा मैम, are you sleeping with your eyes open? Okay, anybody can answer that. कि जो अल्ट्रा प्रोसेस फूड ले रहे थे उसके अंदर से व्हाट वाज मिसिंग?
Micronutrients.
Fiber.
Okay, fiber. The large thing or the elephant in the room is basically the fiber. अब वो फाइबर क्यों निकाला गया था? ताकि हम उसकी स्टोरेज बढ़ा सके. यही रीजन था ना, शेल्फ लाइफ बढ़ा सके. तो वो फाइबर अगर वो हमने निकाल दिया और हमने एनर्जी भी मिल गई, तो इसका मतलब इज फाइबर नेसेसरी फॉर अस और इज नॉट नेसेसरी फॉर अस? एनीबडी? जिस चीज को हमने निकाल के साइड में फेंक दिया while we have processed our food, so what is it? An essential thing? अगर निकाल दिया तो निकाल दिया. उससे essential होने से क्या?
Essential thing.
Okay, essential in terms of what? अगर वो हमारे लिए नहीं था जरूरी, और अगर जरूरी है तो किस लिए जरूरी है? If you can answer that.
To form roughage.
Okay.
So that the stool is proper.
Okay, that's, I would say, a very, very simplistic and a good explanation. Firstly, yes, it helps in doing that. Any other reason?
See, primarily what is happening is ultra processed फूड से ह्यूमन बॉडी का न्यूट्रिशन हो ना हो या उसे एक एनर्जी मिल जाती है, लेकिन जो आपके डाइजेस्टिव सिस्टम के अंदर के जो बाकी इतने सारे कंट्रीब्यूटर्स हैं उनका न्यूट्रिशन गायब हो जाता है.
Okay, so yeah, you are nearly there. So the point is that if other nutrients are there for humans, fiber is basically the food for our gut microbiome. वो उनका खाना है. जितना रफेज है, basically that is what they feast on. तो वो सारा फाइबर is basically, हम कहते हैं ना कि सैलड खाना चाहिए बहुत खाने के साथ. तो सैलड is not for us. Salad is for our gut microbiome, basically. It will help in creating roughage and so that the stool can pass properly. But the overarching reason is that the fiber is basically the food for our gut microbiome. तो अगर किसी को हम स्टार्व करा देंगे by having ultra processed food, उसको अब फाइबर नहीं मिल रहा जो उसका खाना था, तो वो क्या करेगा? जिंदा रहने के लिए कुछ तो करेगा. What it will start doing is, it will start eating your own gut lining. Why? Because अब उसके लिए एक पैनिक काइंड ऑफ अ लाइफ एंड डेथ सिचुएशन है. ठीक है, उसका लाइफ साइकिल is not even an hour, but within that it tries to live its life to the fullest. So slowly and steadily what they start doing is, these microbes which are there to protect you and to do certain good things जो कि आपने शायद कभी सोचा नहीं होगा, and we'll cover it in some other lecture later, but they do tremendous good to us. That is why God has put them over there. They're not there for any rhyme or reason other than to help you. So remember that it is a symbiotic relationship. If they don't get their food, then they start eating the gut lining itself. And where is the 80 to 90% of our immune system reside? Can anybody answer this? कहाँ है हमारा immune system सबसे ज्यादा active? कहाँ रहता है? Is it equally spread in our body? Or is
मुझे
it?
लगता है एलिमेंट्री कैनाल में लगता है मुझे.
Okay, Yes, ma'am, you're also right there. So now 70 to 80% of our immune system is residing there. Where? In the lining of a gut. एक तरफ बैक्टीरिया है, दूसरी तरफ हमारा immune system है. So why are they there? They are there because that is the only, I would say, the barrier between the outside world and us. So
Sir, one question here.
Yeah.
Immune system says if they're produced in the bone marrow, then shouldn't that be the place जहाँ पे you'll find them the most?
Okay, so that doesn't, getting production and storage are two different things. They are getting stored at a location where there is a, army stays in camps, peacetime mein. Soldiers are trained there in academies, but they are posted at the place jahan pe along the borders. Why? Because the threat of enemy entering, and crossing the border is that right there. So where is the threat out here? The threat is that any alien body, through food, if it tries to get into a bloodstream, that is where they want to catch them then and there. So along the lining of the gut, from where the entire micronutrients are processed and transferred to the bloodstream, is where these guys are. To ensure कि कोई भी ऐसी entity ना आ पाए अंदर, और आ भी जाती है कई बारी, and that is the time they take care of it then and there. Now, अगर हमारे रक्षक थे एक तरीके से, बैक्टीरिया, they were trying to help us, our own guys on the other side of the border. Now, if these are the guys जो कि उस फेंसिंग को अगर तोड़ देते हैं या उसके अंदर गैप्स क्रिएट कर देते हैं, so lot of alien material can come into our bloodstreams. जब वो अंदर आ जाता है, उसको हम बोलते हैं उस टाइटनिंग जो बहुत ही क्लोजली निट, और इट्स अ वेरी वेरी टाइट बॉन्ड along the gut. तो जब वो ढीला हो जाता है, so particles can come in, जिसको हम बोलते हैं leaky gut. So alien particulate matter, it enters a bloodstream, जिसको उसको वहां नहीं होना चाहिए, which immediately triggers a immune response. Now, how this happens is, we'll talk about it later in the presentation, but that leads to an inflammatory response. And if it happens routinely or continuously, or the body is now trying to identify a matter जो कि आपका अपना ही एक organ है या tissue है, जिसको अगर वो alien मान ले गलती से, so what will happen is your immune system will start attacking it time and again, and you will see that there is a inflammatory response which is not stopping, which is again chronic inflammation. For example, rheumatoid arthritis, spondyloarthritis, multiple sclerosis, आपका Hashimoto's thyroidism. तो ये इससे क्या हो रहा है कि आपके ही जो इम्यून सिस्टम है वो आपके अपने ऑर्गन्स को अटैक कर रहा है बाय मिस्टेक. लेकिन ये मिस्टेक क्यों हुई? ये मिस्टेक इसलिए हुई कि सर्टेन एलियन मैटर विच गॉट इनसाइड, जिसको कि नहीं आना चाहिए था, तो वो क्यों आ गया? बिकॉज देयर वाज अ लीकी गट. Why there was a leaky gut in the very first place? Because we are not eating natural food. We are creating a situation where this thing happens. So we have to go back to the source and sort these things out. So can we restore a gut health? The answer is yes. So can we put all these, this inflammatory response which is happening because of our own immune system by mistake, can we put it to rest? Yes, we can put it to remission also in most of the cases. Now, there are certain other environmental factors also. Chronic mental stress is another reason where we feel कि ये तो यार एक बंदे ने टेंशन ही पाल ली है कि ये तो कुछ भी मेरे साथ ठीक नहीं हो रहा. तो whatever you think gets manifested. So now the stress response and toxins which are released. Now usko let's say a person working in a coal mine, he's exposed to a lot of environmental factors, toxins. So you will feel कि हाँ ठीक है, उसको asthma की problem होगी and all those issues which come up, which is again a chronic inflammation. So now otherwise जो हमारा mental stress है उससे क्या हो रहा है कि there's a lot of cortisols, stress hormones getting released. अगर वो over a period of time they tend to continuously release for a longer period of time, then there is again an inflammatory response in our body leading to chronic inflammation. So anybody has got any doubt, what are the causes? ये क्यों हो रहा है? Any questions, anybody at this point of time?
Yeah, I just want to ask,
Yes,
like, if there is a problem in the structure of the bones, right?
Hmm.
So is it also related to diet in any way?
So structure of the bones, can you elaborate on that? Because structure of the
Yeah.
bones, typically,
Like suppose,
Mhm.
suppose, see, the issue which I have is the vertebrae in my neck, they've come very close.
Can you come again, please?
The vertebrae in my neck, they've come very close.
The vertebrae have come very close. But
Yeah, they've come very
that's
close.
spondyloarthropathy you're talking about.
Yeah, so because of which I think that causes compression or something. So yeah.
So
So
you
is
must
it?
be given a band around your neck to be worn.
Yeah, I'm wearing it right now.
Actually, you're wearing it right now. So the thing is that now it has led to a situation where, spondyloarthropathy is kind of a autoimmune disease again, in relation to जैसे कि हमारा rheumatoid arthritis है.
But
So
मुझे
we'll
क्या
come to
पूछना
that
है
how it
पूछना है
happens.
कि
Yes, your
suppose
bone
जो
health
wear
is
and
also
tear बहुत होता
compromised.
है.
Your bone health is also compromised because of the very nature of the
Okay.
disease.
Okay.
It's a symptom which is now manifesting itself in a manner कि अब वो आपको, your own vertebrae are also, getting compressed. वो इतने close हो गए हैं कि now, आपके nerve cells वगैरह भी जो हैं, they are, touching the bone and you have a constant pain altogether. ऊपर से लेके नीचे तक होगा.
So is
And
it a dead end?
yeah, and are you having, pain all throughout your body also?
Yeah.
Sunil sir, you
But
like
is
to
it
elaborate?
a dead end? But is it a dead end? That is what I want to know.
No. Never.
Okay.
The only thing before, Sunil sir comes in, I like to tell you that your body is a fabulous piece of mechanism. The best
Yes.
creation a God has ever done. It can
Yeah.
handle any shit we can't even think of. So trust your
Okay.
body. It is going to heal provided we let it heal. That is the
Fine.
mechanism which we have in Yuvam. We are not
Okay.
here to, do certain things. We are not, beyond God. We are also working in the same realm in which, we can help you to achieve that kind of a thing. And all we are trying to do is ensuring that to identify where this abuse is happening and to stopping that abuse. So once that abuse is stopped,
Okay.
your body starts to heal itself then and there from the next very second onwards. Trust me on this
Fine.
because we are seeing it with every of our member who is part of human family now. Their health is getting restored. Even I would say, the time frame, they're bettering it what we have predicted just by following, the protocols which we have devised, which is
Okay.
ensuring that all these abuses which are there are stopped. अब इसमें जो भी चीज हो रही है, one way or the other, it is
Yeah.
our own doing. So finding out the source, finding out that what is the problem, underlying problem. So underlying problem in a chronic inflammation is basically oxidative stress. Largely, your gut microbiome getting compromised and other environmental factors, having a constant mental stress just because you want to think it that way, leading to depression. So what is basically depression? It is again a chronic inflammation in that
Okay.
sense. So what we
Okay.
will do is we will, talk about once we go ahead that it can be resolved. That's not a problem at all. So,
Fine. Thank you.
so
Okay.
Sunil sir, you'd like to comment on spondyloarthropathy in particular? You're on mute, sir.
Yeah. Spondyloallopathy, ma'am, since your vertebrae are coming closer, it is at a advanced stage. This happens because of, as he has said, because of whatever the lifestyle or the diet you're following, and it is led to your bones getting certain. I would rather say the amount of calcium which is there, the strength it is reducing, and there is a stiffness which is happening in the upper spine of yours. which has got many causes. Matlab, it is that's why spondylitis is still being searched. However, the good news is that if you get your things together, because calcium can only even if you have calcium, or even if you have certain things, your bones density in your bones and the spondylitis effect will not go, because the degree of the body's capability to first absorb it and then to place it at a place where it is required. So these two things have got different aspects. You might take a lot of calcium, you might take a lot of things, but the body might not absorb it. More often than not, anti-inflammatory drugs, anti-pain, and symptomatic treatments are there in the medical science for spondylitis. And basically, for you put those the bands and everything on your neck, just so that it doesn't move and so that it doesn't much deteriorate further. Once you get into a good lifestyle and the diet which we at Yuvam prescribe, what will happen is that the internal structure of your bones in your vertebrae will gradually starts getting better. It will give you a lot of relief. I will not say or promise that you will get 100% correct, because since the gaps, I wish we could have met maybe earlier, once you had your initial signs of spondylitis. However, all the mitigation of pain and all your things which you are happening now, and you're taking you might be taking medicines for it, those things will go away. And we can assure that if you follow this for a bit elongated time,
I'm
at
so
least that
sorry.
neck.
I got disconnected. So, okay, sorry.
Okay,
I
so
got disconnected, so I couldn't get the answer. So maybe
okay, I'll
later on.
repeat it. You want me to repeat
Thank you
completely?
so much. I just
Okay,
couldn't
I'll
hear.
tell you one
If you
thing.
have time, you can do so, or we can
Yeah,
have
yeah,
it later.
please.
It's
The
okay.
thing is,
Thank you.
your spondylitis is at a bit later stage, where your vertebrae are now they are coming closer. Okay, so the content of, can you hear me now?
Yes.
So the
Nah,
content,
yeah, I can hear you. Yeah.
yeah, so the content of your bone, okay, it is deteriorated a bit because of, as it is said, because of your lifestyle choices and other aspects. The amount of the bones always require certain amount of calcium and other minerals to make it the way it is supposed to be. Over a period of time, though your diet might be having adequate amount of calcium, but because of as he is saying, because of certain aspects of your body, your liver inflammation state and other aspects, and your eating
Yeah.
habits, your degree of your capability of your body to two things: first absorb, and to transfer the amount of calcium and the minerals which are required at the specific place at your bone starts missing out. That's why post menopausal it is very important to have the balance in, especially a woman, of K2, D3 and calcium. These three makes a triangle. What we
Okay.
can promise you is that your spondylitis and the condition of yours will might not be completely reversed. However, if you continue this diet for an elongated period of time of maybe an year plus, what we can assure you that the strap on your neck will get out.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. So, continuing
Thanks.
further is wherein we just want to tell you or show you pictorially, how a cell functions. So let's say this is a normal mitochondria doing its work. It is efficient in creating energy. It is getting enough glucose and oxygen to now form ATPs. And this is the way it should be with everybody. तो वो अपना काम बिल्कुल ठीक तरीके से कर रहा है जैसे करना चाहिए. But over a period of time, because of the abuse, which we don't know that we are doing, and we continue to do it, we see that there is a mitochondria which is overwhelmed, not able to do its work in a manner it was supposed to be doing. So there are certain, laxities, it tries to overcome it and, continue doing it, but it is not able to do it in that fashion. Then there is a situation where the mitochondria has become so old that it is not able to perform its function properly, which is now creating a situation which we call it medically, de novo lipogenesis. Now there is lot of, fat getting converted through your cells because it is not able to create that glucose into the energy which was required in that sense. So क्या हो रहा है कि वो जिसको ग्लूकोज को एनर्जी में कन्वर्ट होना था वो ग्लूकोज अब फैट में कन्वर्ट हो रहा है बिकॉज सेल इज नॉट एबल टू फंक्शन प्रॉपर्ली. Also, it is not able to carry out its work efficiently, which is now creating lot of, reactive oxygen species. Lot of free radicals are getting converted. और हमारा जो सेल के अंदर जो साइटोप्लाज्म में एंटीऑक्सीडेंट्स थे, they are also not able to handle it properly, which is now leading to inflammation. So if you have all these three things happening together, this is known as mitochondrial dysfunction. The primary cause of oxidative stress, and leading to chronic inflammation. तो अगर हमें आपका chronic inflammation sort करना है, तो हमें क्या करना है? हमें आपको यहाँ पे लेके आना है वापस. This is how your cell would start behaving now. So can we do that? A cell which is, probably not able to do its work properly, हम उसको कैसे ला सकते हैं? We can get it back into this shape. Now, why and how? Why? Because it is a given. If you do things properly, things would tend to come back to square one. Our bodies are a fabulous mechanism. You must start trusting your bodies now. Now, how can we do that? Is following a diet protocol, which Yuvam suggests, as also getting into a stage, जो program अभी हमारा ले रहे हैं, we have told them that, by the end of the 3rd month, you'll be getting into a fasting protocol also along with us. So that fasting protocol is going to ensure that autophagy triggers, what all debris is there within the cell is, is consumed, as also your old mitochondria, जो ये अब old हो गया है, this guy dies and a new guy is, उसका नए बंदे का जन्म होता है within the cell, and that new guy is now working properly. So that is one way we can do it. Now this is how basically, things happen. So जो oxidative stress अगर हो गया था, तो वो क्या क्या चीजें कर रहा है हमारे सेल में? I would not get into the technical part of it, how it happens, but largely you can say कि हमारे एक एंडोप्लाज्मिक रेटिकुलम होता है. इतना तो हमने सबने पढ़ा था सेल बायोलॉजी में 6th, 7th, 8th में, जिसका काम होता है प्रोटीन मैन्युफैक्चर करना विद इन द सेल. तो वो हमारे प्रोटीन भी ढंग से मैन्युफैक्चर नहीं हो रहे हैं, और ज्यादातर एंजाइम्स क्या हैं? दे आर प्रोटीन्स देमसेल्व्स. दैट्स व्हाट सेल्स डू. तो ये प्रोटीन्स जो प्रोड्यूस हो रहे हैं, ये हमारे सेल के अंदर भी हेल्प करते हैं काम करने में, और सेल से बाहर भी ट्रांसपोर्ट होते हैं. सो इफ देयर इज ऑक्सीडेटिव स्ट्रेस, तो वो आपका प्रोटीन और एंजाइम फंक्शन भी जो है वो प्रॉपरली नहीं हो रहा है. योर माइटोकॉन्ड्रिया इज गेटिंग older day by day because of this, and the ATP production or the energy production is getting reduced, जिसको हम बोलते हैं एक तरीके से colloquial terms में slow metabolism. अरे बंदे का मेटाबॉलिज्म बहुत स्लो है यार, ये तो दिन भर एक्सरसाइज करता है, कुछ खाता भी नहीं है, इसका तो वजन ही कम नहीं हो रहा. क्यों? क्योंकि स्लो मेटाबॉलिज्म हो गया. स्लो क्यों हो गया? बिकॉज ऑफ द ऑक्सीडेटिव स्ट्रेस. जिसने जो काम करना था वो कर ही नहीं पा रहा है. इनफैक्ट दिस free radicals, they damage the DNA also. To people who are having a lot of wrinkles on their skin, it's again because of chronic inflammation, oxidative stress. So basically this is, on the left side of the screen is the intrinsic view, and there is an extrinsic view also. If you can see कि एक normal cell है, free radicals, if they act on it, and then over a period of time, it can even lead to cell death, जो कि 2 टाइप से होती हैं. ये भी हमने पहले पढ़ा था, apoptosis and necrosis. Will not get into that kind of a thing, but yes, it leads to these kind of problems. ये प्रॉब्लम जब बाहर से डिटेक्ट होती हैं, तो हम देखते हैं कि अच्छा भाई कोलेस्ट्रॉल आ रहा है, उसको ठीक करने के लिए, बैंडेड का काम करने के लिए इम्यून सिस्टम इज गेटिंग एक्टिवेटेड, बिकॉज कि उसको स्ट्रेस को झेलना है अभी. नाउ द रोल ऑफ आवर डाइट. एक तो हमने देखा है कि हाउ अल्ट्रा प्रोसेस फूड्स जो कि हमारे सेल फंक्शन को भी इफेक्ट कर रहे हैं, आउटसाइड ऑल्सो शुगर इज फॉर्मिंग अ बॉन्ड विद प्रोटीन एंड इज क्रिएटिंग अ थिंग नोन एज एडवांस ग्लाइकेशन एंड प्रोडक्ट्स, जो कि हमने ये पिछले वाले में जो हमने प्रेजेंटेशन लिया था अबाउट दी फैट सेल्स, वी हैड टॉक्ड अबाउट इट. तो दिस काइंड ऑफ अ एडवांस ग्लाइकेशन एंड प्रोडक्ट इज अ बॉन्ड जो कि हमारी बॉडी इज नॉट एबल टू metabolize in one form or the other. सो क्या हो रहा है कि जैसे ही ये एज क्रिएट हो जाता है और उसका कोई तरीका नहीं है बॉडी को हैंडल करने के लिए, तो देर आर एज रिसेप्टर्स ऑन दी एंडोथेलियम सेल्स जो कि उनको डिटेक्ट करते हैं और उनको ट्रैप कर लेते हैं। जब उनको ट्रैप करके अंदर ले जाते हैं तो इम्यून सिस्टम एक्टिवेट होता है, वो बोलता है कि अच्छा ये एक एलियन कहानी एक पैदा हो गई है, नाउ टू हैंडल दिस, सो आई विल गो एंड कंज्यूम दिस। सो वो कंज्यूम करने की कोशिश करता है, वहां जाता है, लेकिन हम तो शुगर खा रहे हैं इतनी दिन भर, ये एडवांस ग्लाइकेशन एंड प्रोडक्ट जो है वो खत्म ही नहीं हो रहे हैं, वो बनते जा रहे हैं, बनते जा रहे हैं। So more and more are getting sucked inside our endothelium cells in our coronary arteries, जो कि over a period of time the immune response जो है उसको भी handle नहीं कर पा रहा है, तो they start entrapping them, जिसको हम बोलते हैं कि formation of a foam cell। तो ये जो आपको fatty streak दिखाई दे रही है, it could have been resolved then and there, लेकिन over a period of time chronically जो है वो इतना बढ़ता जा रहा है कि now even ये जो प्लाक हमें यहां दिखाई दे रहा है, दीज आर बेसिकली दी फोम सेल्स, इट इज इम्यून रिस्पॉन्स टू ट्रैप दीज एजेस इनसाइड। और जब वो बहुत बड़ा हो जाता है, दैट इज द टाइम वी सी कि हमारी आर्टरीज में जिसके अंदर से नॉर्मल ब्लड फ्लो होना चाहिए था, इट इज नाउ रिस्ट्रिक्टेड, एंड दिस प्लाक कैन ओवर अ पीरियड ऑफ टाइम रप्चर ऑल्सो एंड कॉज अ सडन हार्ट अटैक। नाउ द सेम थिंग हैपेंस विद द अदर पार्ट ऑफ द फूड विच इज बेसिकली द ट्रांस फैट्स। ये ट्रांस फैट्स भी जो है नॉर्मल हमारी बॉडी जो है सिस कॉन्फ़िगरेशन ऑफ द फैट्स इट कैन हैंडल, इट कैन नॉट हैंडल ट्रांस फैट्स। तो जो हम ये जितना भी प्रोसेस्ड ऑयल यूज कर रहे हैं बाहर से, सनफ्लावर ऑयल, ये ऑयल, सफोला, दे हैव अ टेंडेंसी, द मोमेंट यू हीट देम बियॉन्ड अ स्मोकिंग पॉइंट, दे विल गेट कन्वर्टेड इनटू ट्रांस फैट व्हिच बॉडी कैन नॉट हैंडल, एंड अगेन दीज आर आल्सो ट्रैप्ड थ्रू द फॉर्म ऑफ एजीईज ओनली। क्योंकि फैट कैसे ट्रेवल करता है, फैट ट्रेवल करता है, अपने आप ट्रेवल नहीं करता हमारे ब्लड स्ट्रीम में, इट ट्रेवल्स अंडर अ प्रोटीन बस, क्योंकि फैट जो है वो तो हाइड्रोफोबिक है। अगर फैट को हम ऐसे ही डाल देंगे तो वो तो तैरने लगेगा ब्लड में, तो उसको ट्रांसपोर्ट कराने के लिए उसको प्रोटीन के अंदर पैकेज करके भेजा जाता है। तो ये ट्रांस फैट once it is packaged under a protein comes in contact with sugar over a period of time can start the formation of advanced glycation end products which will result in atherosclerosis and heart attack later. Similarly, gut के रोल को यहाँ पे हाईलाइट कर रहा हूं मैं। Now this is the lining of the gut basically. इम्यून सेल्स जो है वो इस तरफ हैं टू प्रोटेक्ट कि यहां से कुछ भी एंटर ना कर जाए। जब हम कुछ भी खाना खा रहे हैं, खाने के साथ हमारे अदर एलियन एंटिटीज आ रही हैं, बैक्टीरिया भी आ रहा है, वायरस भी आ रहा है, सब कुछ आ रहा है, एंड न्यूट्रिएंट्स को अब्सॉर्ब करना है और इनसे बचाना है। लेकिन अगर ये लाइनिंग ओवर अ पीरियड ऑफ टाइम यहाँ पर जो गट माइक्रोबायोम बैठा हुआ है वही अगर इसको च्यू करने लगेगा, सो दिस लाइनिंग विल गेट लूज and all these alien entities which are not supposed to be there in the bloodstream, they come into the bloodstream which triggers this immune response. Now ये immune response जो है वो दो तरीके से हो रहा है। दो तरीके क्या है, एक तो मान लो बैक्टीरिया वायरस वगैरह खुद ही एंटर कर गए, तो उससे क्या रिस्पॉन्स है, if the microbes come in, let's say we have a E. coli bacteria coming inside, or the bacteroids coming inside, or a virus coming inside, then the immune system is going to be activated and it is going to be causing these issues, autoimmune diseases, in response to these microbes coming inside. अभी क्या हो रहा है कि ये माइक्रोब्स आने के बाद तो इनको माइक्रोब्स को हैंडल करना चाहिए था, लेकिन ये हमारे इम्यून सिस्टम हमारी चीजों को क्यों एक्ट करने लग गया? Because these kind of microbes they lead to a situation known as molecular mimicry. ये एक फैंसी टर्म है जो आप थोड़ा सा ध्यान रख लो आज। मॉलिक्यूलर मिमिक्री का मतलब है कि ये जो माइक्रोब्स हैं, वंस दे गेट इनसाइड, दे रिजेंबल सर्टेन अदर ऑर्गन इन आवर बॉडीज। इनके जो रिसेप्टर्स हैं वो हमारे ऑर्गन्स के जो रिसेप्टर्स हैं उनसे रिजेंबल करते हैं। तो हमारा इम्यून सिस्टम अब कंफ्यूज हो गया है। अब इम्यून सिस्टम बैक्टीरियोइड्स को, लेट्स से देयर वाज अ क्वेश्चन कि बैक्टीरियोइड्स जब एंटर कर गए हैं तो वो उनके रिसेप्टर्स को जब वो देखता है तो वो बोलता है कि अरे ये तो देयर समथिंग, हमारी नेक में भी ये रिजेंबल कर रहे हैं। सो दैट इज ऑल्सो लीडिंग टू स्पॉन्डिलोआर्थराइटिस। So that is the innate system how things are working. And not only the microbes के अलावा जो हैं उनके microbial products भी हैं जो कि एंटर कर जाते हैं जिनको एंटर नहीं करना चाहिए था. And it leads to a further immune response in terms of chronic inflammation. जो बैक्टीरियाज हमारे लाइनिंग के इस तरफ थे, उनकी जो लाइनिंग थी, बैक्टीरिया की जो आउटर वॉल थी, उसको बोलते हैं लिपोपॉलीसैकेराइड, इन शॉर्ट एलपीएस. वो एलपीएस बेसिकली उसकी डेड बैक्टीरिया की वॉल है बाहर की. वो अगर एंटर कर जाती है, इट कैन कॉज issues like inflammatory bowel disease, advanced glycation end products, and Hashimoto's thyroidism. अगर ग्लूटेन सेंसिटिविटी है और ग्लूटेन एंटर कर जाता है इन अ सिस्टम, then it can lead to a celiac disease. अगर LPS or citrullinated proteins they get entered in a body, they can also lead to rheumatoid arthritis and spondyloarthropathy. So there is a gift which we are getting not because we want it. It is just happening because these things resemble certain things. And they activate our immune system, which is wherein we are facing the brunt of a system which is there to protect us. Okay. So can we talk of reversal? So yes, we can, ensure if it is detected early, we can ensure that there is a reversal. If it is detected late, we can ensure that there is a remission, that this thing doesn't trouble you any further. It may be there, but not causing an issue jahan ki aapko problem hoga aage jaake. So now, if you follow the Yuvam protocol, then what are we going to ensure? We are going to pinpoint that what is the source because of which this is happening. Is it happening because of your diet? Is it happening because of the external mental stress which you are now having? It is happening because of your gut, which is now leaky. So we will fix the source. We are not giving you any kind of a medication. Your body is capable, on its own to heal itself. That is the underlying principle, which you should always remember. So once we touch base on the source part of it, the origin of it, you will see that the things would start to improve in a big, big way. So if in Yuvam we are saying that none of our members is ever going to be having diabetes, hypertension, heart attack, cancer, Alzheimer's ever. Now heart attack is because of atherosclerosis largely, which is a chronic inflammation. Diabetes again is a chronic, wherein, insulin sensitivity has led to that. So all these things are going to be fixed. Why? Because people will now be accustomed to the natural way of eating their food. The only element which we are introducing is, again, which was natural enough earlier, was when are we supposed to be having this food? So all those people who are already undertaking the protocol are already getting the feel of it. You are having a food at a particular period of time, एक window में आप अपने खाने को ले रहे हो, and we have ensured that you are not having any ultra processed or processed food from now onwards, which is already laying the foundation of you getting, healthier and over a period of time attaining total health, which we are promising. Now, with respect to your gut microbiome, fixing your gut is where also we are working. तो जो हमने आपको supplements दिए हैं, apple cider vinegar, fermented, let's say, certain foods. What are they trying to do? कुछ probiotics, prebiotics भी दिए हैं आपको. We are trying to fix your gut because we have identified that you are having a leaky gut. So not everybody is getting it, but there are people who are getting those supplements. So this is what we are trying to do to ensure that your chronic inflammation is catered for. If it is in the early stages, it is going to be reversed. If it is in a fairly late stage, जो डॉक्टर बोलते हैं यार अब तो हमारे बस का नहीं है, that is the time you'll get into remission. It is not going to trouble you any further. And then your external factors also we are catering to. हमने आपको कुछ sleep guidelines दिए हैं. I'm sure not many of you would have read because that's the hardest part to read and go through it. But then we are also not troubling you at this stage. You are doing certain other wonderful things ki ye aspect jo hai, we will definitely be taking over in times to come, and we'll be discussing this बिकॉज एट दिस पॉइंट ऑफ टाइम आपको ये लग रहा है कि अरे यार ये खाना इतने बजे ऐसे और ये वो, यू गेटिंग इनटू दैट काइंड ऑफ सिचुएशन फेज इज फेयरली न्यू टू यू. And while you're done with that, probably in the third month, we will start paying attention towards reducing your other stress markers, which are caused by environmental issues. So rest be assured that this chronic inflammation, which can create an havoc, in our bodies, is a thing which, as far as Yuvam is concerned, is a done deal. Why? Because again, your bodies are so good, they can handle these things. Now, certain interesting things which I have, just wanted to let you guys know कि जैसे हमने बहुत से लोगों में आप देखोगे कि लोगों को कोलेस्ट्रॉल की प्रॉब्लम है, कम नहीं हो रहा. भाई हम तो ऐसा कुछ खा भी नहीं रहे हैं, कुछ भी नहीं कर रहे हैं, और डॉक्टर ने बोला यार तुम्हारा कोलेस्ट्रॉल इतना है, तुम अब जो बचा कुचा फैट है वो भी खाना बंद कर दो. नो, इट इज नॉट लाइक दैट. फैट इज एसेंशियल फॉर यू. देयर आर सर्टेन एसेंशियल फैट्स व्हिच यू मस्ट हैव, जिसको हम बोलते हैं कि polyunsaturated fat, जो omega-3, like Ruchira ma'am was saying, she was having omega-3. It's an essential fat to have. There is no essential carbohydrate. There are essential fats, there are essential proteins. Essential क्यों है? क्योंकि वो हमारी बॉडी खुद नहीं बना सकती, इसलिए हमें बाहर से चाहिए, इसलिए वो essential हो गया. बाकी चीजें तो हमारी बॉडी खुद ही कर रही है. So now, कोलेस्ट्रॉल का जो इशू है, विच जनरली पीपल फील कि ये क्यों है और क्या करने से क्या करने वाले हैं हम. So now if you have elevated cholesterol, you might be a candidate of chronic inflammation. Now chronic inflammation किस लिए? या तो आप अल्ट्रा प्रोसेस्ड और ये सब फूड खा रहे हो, या लीकी गट भी है, या योर लिवर इज कॉम्प्रोमाइज्ड. योर लिवर इज नॉट डूइंग थिंग्स द वे इट वाज सपोज्ड टू बी डूइंग. और लिवर में ये सब क्यों हुआ है? लिवर में प्रॉब्लम बिकॉज ऑफ chronic inflammation again. Somebody having fatty liver over a period of time and getting into a zone of fibrosis and leading to cirrhosis, wherein you will feel that कि यार ये तो उसको कोलेस्ट्रॉल भी अब काबू में नहीं आ रहा, because liver जो अपना काम है वो ढंग से नहीं कर पा रहा. एंड उसके ऊपर लोग जो हैं अगर स्टैटिन्स लेना स्टार्ट कर देते हैं, क्योंकि डॉक्टर क्या बोल रहा है, अरे स्टैटिन लो, कोलेस्ट्रॉल ज्यादा, कोलेस्ट्रॉल कम करना. कोलेस्ट्रॉल आप कितना भी कम कर लो उससे कुछ होने वाला नहीं है, क्योंकि कोलेस्ट्रॉल का डेंजरस लेवल जो है वो 500 के पार है. अगर वो 500 से नीचे है, then you should be worried about the causes why cholesterol is getting on a higher side, which it shouldn't be, rather than कि मैं कोलेस्ट्रॉल को ही पहले काबू कर लेता हूं. काबू करने के लिए क्या दे रहे हैं? स्टैटिन्स. स्टैटिन्स का नंबर नीडेड टू हार्म एंड नंबर नीडेड टू ट्रीट, ये दो चीजें आपको पता होनी चाहिए. कोई भी आप मेडिसिन कभी भी लेते हो, ऑलवेज आस्क योर डॉक्टर कि मुझे ये दो टर्म्स के बारे में बता दो, आप जो भी मेडिसिन मुझे दे रहे हो. नंबर्स नीडेड टू ट्रीट का मतलब है कि ये मेडिसिन कितने लोगों को खिलाई जाए जिससे कि एक बंदे का फायदा हो. सो फॉर एग्जाम्पल, इफ द नंबर नीडेड टू ट्रीट इज 100, इट मीन्स दैट कि अगर मैं 100 बंदों को वो मेडिसिन खिलाऊंगा तो किसी एक बंदे का फायदा होने का चांस है. डू यू गेट दिस मेट्रिक? Now there is another term which is known as numbers needed to harm, कि ये मेडिसिन मैंने कितने लोगों को दी और उसमें कितने लोगों को प्रॉब्लम हो गई. Now for people who are on statins, ये मैं इसलिए बोल रहा हूँ क्योंकि ये बहुत फैड चीज चल रही है आजकल. यूएस से लेके यूएस में शुरू हुई थी, नाउ इट इज वर्ल्ड ओवर. जिस डॉक्टर के पास जाओगे कोलेस्ट्रॉल देखते हो, स्टैटिन खाओ. सो नाउ द नंबर नीडेड टू ट्रीट फॉर स्टैटिन्स इज 103. मतलब मेरे डायबिटिक होने के चांस ज्यादा है स्टैटिन खा के, अगर मैं वैसे नहीं हो रहा था. सो इट इज क्रिएटिंग मोर प्रॉब्लम्स एंड इट इज ट्राइंग टू सॉल्व. सो व्हाई आर वी इवन हैविंग इट? दूसरा, another important aspect which people should now realize, all those who are part of Yuvam or planning to be part of Yuvam, role of antibiotics. हमने बहुत बड़ा आज टाइम डिवोट किया है, गुड अबाउट मोर देन हाफ एन आवर, टुवर्ड्स गट माइक्रोबायोम. आज से 50 साल पहले जब किसी को मेडिसिन देनी होती थी बैक्टीरिया के लिए, तो बैक्टीरिया का कल्चर किया जाता था. और आपने सुना होगा ब्लड टेस्ट लेके कि 2 दिन बाद पता चलेगा कल्चर में गया हुआ है, ब्लड कल्चर हो रहा है. और उसके बाद वो आइडेंटिफाई करते थे कि ये बैक्टीरिया की वजह से ये प्रॉब्लम हो रही है, हम उस बैक्टीरिया के लिए ये दवाई देंगे. बट देन somebody invented an atom bomb. दे सेड टेक दिस एंटीबायोटिक, हमें क्या फर्क पड़ता है कि एक बैक्टीरिया से हो रहा है या दो बैक्टीरिया से, हम क्यों 2 दिन लगाएं फालतू, पॉप दिस पिल, इट विल किल एवरी बैक्टीरिया विच इज देयर, कहानी खत्म एक बारी में। दैट इज फाइन, ठीक है यार, वो बैक्टीरिया भी मर गया, बाकी भी मर गए, बट द पॉइंट इज वेयर आर दीज बैक्टीरिया रिसाइडिंग इन योर बॉडी? दे आर योर फ्रेंड्स, most of them who are staying in your gut, and you have popped a pill and you have destroyed the entire gut microbiome, leading to a situation where now the bad bacteria is going to be taking over very soon and you will be having leaky gut, creating the chronic inflammation in future. कितने लोग ऐसे हैं जो कि एंटीबायोटिक के फैन है, जिनको लगता है कि हर प्रॉब्लम का सोल्यूशन जो है एंटीबायोटिक है, कि कुछ गले में खराश हुई, हल्का सा फीवर हो गया और डॉक्टर के पास गए तो वो क्या बोलेगा, एंटीबायोटिक ले लो। नहीं गए तो आपने बोला यार डॉक्टर के पास क्या जाना, वो तो एंटीबायोटिक ही देता, हम खुद ही लेके एंटीबायोटिक खा लेते हैं। करते हैं हम ऐसा कि नहीं करते? कौन है जो नहीं करता वो बोले, क्योंकि मुझे पता है कि सब ऐसे करते हैं, मुझे वो बंदा चाहिए जो ये नहीं करता। एनीबडी?
Me.
Yeah, I think me also.
ओके,
Me too, me too.
Yeah, I also avoid antibiotic.
ओके, सो नाउ डू यू नो दैट कि कितना टाइम लगता है इस गट माइक्रोबायोम को वापस उस स्टेट में आने के लिए जिससे पहले आपने ये एटम बॉम्ब फोड़ा था?
6 months.
Okay, so good answer. That's the shorter range of it. It takes 6
Yeah,
months,
it's broader.
6 months to 1.5 years to restore it back to the level where it was, जिससे पहले आपने एंटीबायोटिक खाया था। अब कुछ लोग जो हैं वो साल में,
I have a question here. So we've had this discussion before also, but so why should it take so much time for it to be restored? Agar if you start leaning towards your probiotics, start leaning towards food that support bacterial growth, and bacteria by the nature of it should be able to multiply at a pace where you are able to replenish the levels much faster. इतना time क्यों लगना चाहिए? Like, is it because antibiotics would have effects even after their?
firstly it is a, अब मान लो दिल्ली के ऊपर अगर एटम बॉम्ब गिरा दें तो दिल्ली को वापस बसाने में कितना टाइम लगेगा? With the best effort which we have, we can do.
I will answer that. The thing is, gut biomicron, when you're talking to get it back to the shape what it was, we are not talking about quantity. We are talking about the diversity of the gut microbiome. Actually, once we have these pro-prebiotic, there is a small fallacy I would like to say. Pro-prebiotic खाने से gut biome ठीक होते हैं, but it doesn't mean that you damage it and then you pop in pro-prebiotic and you feel that they will multiply like yeast inside and within a week or within 3-4 days it will get all right. There is a thing called diversity. What he's saying is आप atom bomb फोड़ोगे एक city में and you want to get that city back immediately, you might get back the infrastructure, you might get back the humans, but that city had a lot of biodiversity inside it, and there was a balance. जितने amount of मच्छर थे, they were not pandemically high or epidemically high, means जितने जानवर थे जितने वो थे. You understand the diversity part which was there. The whole aim of that by antibiotics is an atom bomb, because it is once it kills, getting the body back to the same diverse of the gut microbiome. It is a thing which takes a long time. It is not quantity.
Got it. Thanks.
Yeah, so gut microbiome का नाम ही माइक्रोबायोम है. So there is a diversity built into it. तो वो जो डाइवर्सिटी रिस्टोर नहीं होगी, उल्टा क्या हो रहा है कि जो आपके हार्मफुल बैक्टीरियाज हैं उसमें अच्छे भी हैं बुरे भी हैं. Now the harmful bacteria take over. They do not allow the good bacteria to now populate themselves. So that is the issue. So now अगर हमें 1 से 1.5 साल लग रहा है एंटीबायोटिक्स की एक पिल खा के वापस उसको उस लेवल पे लाने का, हम लोग तो साल में कम से कम 2 बार तो बीमार हो रहे हैं और डॉक्टर के पास जाते हैं, बोलते हैं ठीक है एंटीबायोटिक का कोर्स कर लो. तो हमारा तो गट माइक्रोबायोम इज ऑलवेज इन अ डिसऑर्डर. तो हमें क्रॉनिक इन्फ्लेमेशन नहीं होगा तो किसे होगा? और ऐसा हम क्या कर रहे हैं कि हमें क्रॉनिक इन्फ्लेमेशन ना हो? नाउ जो लोग एंटीबायोटिक्स नहीं ले रहे हैं Are they in the safe zone? No, they may not be, because most of us are having, bahar se chicken manga ke kha rahe hain, and all those things which we do. We eat non-veg, lot of it. Now, उनको क्या हो रहा है? हमको पता है ना कि उनको कैसे पाला जा रहा है, कैसे उनको जो है जिंदा रखा जा रहा है. Even people who have beef or you have pork, they're all fed on corn diet. कॉर्न क्यों खिलाते हैं? ताकि जल्दी से जल्दी मोटा हो. जल्दी से जल्दी मोटा होगा तो उसके खुद की लग जाएगी वाट, उसको एंटीबायोटिक दिए जाते हैं इस तरीके से कि बस आप तक जब तक वो पहुंचे तब तक वो सबसे मोटा एनिमल होना चाहिए और बर्ड होना चाहिए. सो वो जो एंटीबायोटिक्स उनको दिए जा रहे हैं, दे गेट इनटू योर ब्लड स्ट्रीम. सो इवन इफ यू आर नॉट टेकिंग पिल्स, it's not that you are in the safe zone. You are still consuming antibiotics because you are having non-veg, which, if it is not certified that it is antibiotic free, there is 99.99% chance that it contains antibiotics. तो आप ऐसे नहीं ले रहे तो वैसे ले रहे हो. अगर आप ये फ्री फार्म एग्स नहीं खा रहे हो तो आपको क्या लगता है कि वो बिना एंटीबायोटिक वाले हैं? उनको सबको दुनिया भर के हार्मोन्स फीड करे जा रहे हैं, एंटीबायोटिक्स दिया जा रहा है, and ultimately it is getting into a bloodstream. So now we at Yuvam need to make that distinction that what food is good for us. हमें लगता है कि अरे अच्छा वो फ्री फार्म वाले जो एग्स हैं यार, ये तो 20 रुपए का एक अंडा दे रहा है, यहाँ तो 8 रुपए का मिल रहा है यार, ये तो बहुत खर्चा हो जाएगा अगर मैं if I switch to that. No, it is not like that. You would be saving money like anything if you switch to good food, because you will not be having these problems. If you get into any kind of a chronic inflammation, do you know what is even the cost of managing that? Leave aside reversing it. Reversal तो है ही नहीं possible. Modern medicine जो बात करती है. Cost of just managing a diabetes is 19.5 lakhs. Person having a heart attack, one heart attack is a cost of, somewhere around, if he survives that, 8 to 9 lakhs. And there is always a danger of having another. Jaldi se jaldi. So nothing is for free. You are paying it through your nose and you won't even realize it. आप वो पिज्जा खा रहे हो जो कि 20 रुपए का पिज्जा नहीं है, 5 रुपए का उसका बेस है, उसके ऊपर छोटा छोटा टमाटर और मशरूम डाल के और थोड़ा थोड़ा सा चिकन, द वर्स्ट ऑफ इट, वो डाल के आपको 800 रुपए का दे रहा है, जिसकी टोटल कॉस्ट 8 रुपए भी नहीं है. वहां आपको पैसा खर्चने में कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं है. 800 रुपए के ये फ्री फार्म बैग अंडे मंगा लेना, हफ्ते भर नहीं खा पाओगे. So start making choices which matter, which support your health, and you save money. Do not have any kind of a shit which is floating because people are making money off you. वो आपको सबसे सस्ती चीज सबसे महंगी करके देना चाहते हैं, और फिर जब आप बीमार हो जाओगे तो फिर आपने और पैसे खर्चने हैं. So your time is at stake, your health is at stake, your life is at stake. You have to make those choices. You have to make those distinctions. We are trying to tell you how it is happening so that you can avoid it. मैं हमारे घर में कोई पिज्जा नहीं खाता, बच्चे भी नहीं खाते. मैं तो पहले जब आज से 6-7 साल पहले, it was like it's a pizza day every week. One day was pizza day, one day was McD day, one day was KFC day. मेरा तो हफ्ते का बिल ही जो है 5,000 रुपए आता था इन सब शिट की वजह से. It is now not happening. So I'm saving 25,000 rupees any which way because nobody is ordering anything. 25,000 की grocery आप order कर लो, you won't be able to consume it in a month. So we have invested. Why? Because पहले हमें नहीं पता था. Now we know it. And once we know it, why should we be doing all those things जो कि हमें नहीं करनी है? And now we are even enjoying even more. ऐसा नहीं है कि कोई पिज्जा नहीं खा रहा. Once we go outside with friends or Ava and all that, kids also do it once in a while. They know the dangers of doing it, but they indulge themselves because they also have a social life to live. But they are making informed choices. So they are enjoying much more than what we think people would do. Because जो आजकल के teenagers हैं, they are having multiple problems. At very young age, they are having fatty livers. People are having diabetes now, hypertension. हमारे बच्चों को नहीं होगी. क्यों? Because they will not be getting into this kind of issues. So they are having a much better life than others. Others may think that they are having a ball of a time. They are not. They're getting into a zone wherein, they'll be having a lot of issues now. So okay, moving ahead, we just digress because of antibiotic thing. Role of vitamin D. आज आप किसी का भी टेस्ट कर लो, ये मैंने अलग से क्यों डाला है यहाँ पे, इसका कोई खास मतलब टेक्निकली क्रॉनिक इन्फ्लेमेशन से देयर इज अ रिलेशनशिप, दैट इज व्हाई इट इज देयर इन द वेरी फर्स्ट प्लेस, बट नॉट अ डायरेक्ट वन. बट किस लिए डाला है? बिकॉज एवरीबडी इज डेफिशिएंट ऑफ विटामिन डी. ट्रॉपिक्स में रह रहे हैं, इंडिया में कोई बाहर जाता नहीं है, सबको गाड़ी के अंदर, घर के अंदर, ऑफिस के अंदर, जिम के अंदर, हमने बाहर वॉक करना भी छोड़ दिया. सो एज इट इज, the natural process of producing vitamin D is not there, and everybody is kind of deficient of it. And the Yuvam members, barring just one or two, maybe everybody would have been prescribed vitamin D because their levels are so low. But what is the relation with vitamin D to chronic inflammation? It has got a direct relation with immunity. It is an immunity regulator. It does two most important things. इन्फ्लेमेशन ट्रिगर कहां से होता है? वंस देयर इज अ साइटोकिन रिस्पॉन्स, प्रो इन्फ्लेमेटरी एंड एंटी इन्फ्लेमेटरी. तो जब ये रिस्पॉन्स ट्रिगर होता है, इफ विटामिन डी लेवल्स आर फाइन, इट रेगुलेट दैट. It would not create a pro-inflammatory, not let the pro-inflammatory response getting created if it is not required to be. It will handle that. So inflammation markers itself would be low. Since there is no requirement, there is a guy who's monitoring it, which is vitamin D. एक बहुत बड़ा काम कर रहा है. दूसरा, वो immune system को regulate भी कर रहा है. So a response, measured response जो है, that is what in a sense vitamin D is trying to do. So if we restore the levels, we'll find that the inflammation is also getting controlled. So basically this is what we had as far as today's session was concerned. We would like your inputs on it. Any questions you have, you can shoot. Anything else you want us to know, you may please ask. Any topic which you want, after another 15 days, we'll be having another knowledge sharing session. Any topic जिसको लगता है कि यार we should be covering that. Otherwise, we'll pick on our own. If we can have a kind of input from you guys, we'll be more than willing to cover that topic in the next session which we'll be having. So, okay, over to you guys. Please tell us your experience of today, what you have felt, how, again, anything which you have found कि यार ये समझ में नहीं आया, ये क्या बोल दिया, and going forward, what kind of a topic you'd like us to cover? Yeah, so people can unmute themselves and throw questions at us.
So I have a question regarding one of the slides that you showed of the oxidation stress. So एक fundamental query, antioxidant होता क्या है and how does it neutralize the free radicals?
अगली बार बता दें, थोड़ा सा लंबा है.
ठीक है, done. And
otherwise,
a suggestion of
actually everything has got antioxidant आजकल ना it has become a fad कि everything has got antioxidant. Broccoli has got so much of
हाँ, मतलब वो होता क्या समझ नहीं आता है कि क्या है antioxidant.
Just अभी फिलहाल इतना बोले कि antioxidants will regulate, I will not say completely eliminate, but it will regulate that reactive oxygen species which is there, and because of and it will, because of which your oxidative stress is happening. ये जो आपके reactive oxygen species हैं, ये आपके बॉडी को चाहिए होती है, because they are actually required by a body to do a lot of things, molecular signaling. There are so many technical terms which the ROS does. But once you eat bad food and all these processed and other things, once these ROS जो आपके ATP साइकिल से निकलते हैं गंदी तरह से, ये कंसंट्रेशन बढ़ा देते हैं. जैसे इसकी कंसंट्रेशन बढ़ती है, नाउ दीज रिएक्टिव ऑक्सीजन स्पीशीज जो है, ये नेगेटिव चार्ज होते हैं, ये आपके सेल मेम्ब्रेन वगैरह के अंदर से पोरस हो जाते हैं, ये आराम से जा सकते हैं, न्यूक्लियस के अंदर घुस के आपके डीएनए चेंज करते रहते हैं, and over a period of time they can cause cancer cells and other aspects. So the thing is, antioxidants जो होते हैं, they start neutralizing these ROS to the level which is supposed to be there in your body to regulate molecular signaling, regulate immunity and all other aspects for which ROS was responsible. This is in summary.
So basically हर सेल को पता है कि इस रिएक्शन प्रॉपर नहीं होगा, रिएक्टिव ऑक्सीजन स्पीशीज बनेंगी, उसको हैंडल करने के लिए they are antioxidants present in the cytoplasm of every cell. So if a normal healthy person, उसका ये produce होगा, neutralize होगा, produce होगा, neutralize होगा, बस खत्म हो जाएगा mentally, आगे बढ़ेगा ही नहीं. But for a person who's getting into a stress kind of a thing, chronic inflammation वगैरह तक पहुंचने के लिए वो इतना होता जा रहा है कि वो handle ही नहीं कर पा रही है body. Then that is the time the immune system comes in and says कि भाई this is now something which is alien, not supposed to be there in the system, I'll handle it. Okay.
And just one more point to the chronic inflammation part. I've read somewhere that chronic inflammation ka primary reason is also lack of cortisol response, which in turn is because of too much cortisol. So just like how you have insulin resistance, the same case applies to cortisols as well. How far is that true?
It is absolutely true. Very good. Matlab, that is something wherever you have written it, wherever you have read it, it is there. The cortisol resistance, because of which high cortisol is also required by a body. If it was not required, तो फिर ये hormone adrenaline gland produce ही नहीं करता, है ना? Since it is required, abhi once because of inflammation and because of nowadays in our generation, because of sheer mental stress, which actually leads to chronic inflammation in your body. It is basically chronic inflammation happens because of various reasons. One of the thing is stress factors, may be physical or mental. Now this cortisol, when it keeps on releasing when you have too much of cortisol in your bloodstream, your body's sensitivity to it starts decreasing, and because of that, whatever you are saying is happening. So wherever you have read somewhere, it is a different subject and a class altogether, in which role of cortisol in your body, whether it is a boon or a bane. That is the time that we can tell you all these things.
And last thing, just a recommendation for the next session. I think we can do a session on sleep.
Okay.
So S for samurai, S for sleep. ठीक है? We can do that.
Okay. Any questions?
Okay, anybody has got any other question? ऐसा तो नहीं हो सकता है कि सब कुछ ही समझ में आ गया हो. मतलब ये हमें समझने में 6 साल लगे, doing all that research.
Yeah.
In a session of 1 hour, everybody has become, a scientist. It is not possible. Manisha
No,
ma'am.
that's a compliment for you that you compiled it really well.
Good.
Thank you. But फिर भी, anybody having any questions? Manisha ma'am, आप ऐसे, giving such serious looks, लेकिन आप बोल कुछ नहीं रहे हो. Ask us something. नीलम. हाँ जी, no questions.
नहीं तो क्वेश्चन नहीं है, मतलब लेकिन आपका कई सारा एस्पेक्ट काफी मतलब टेक्निकल भी था, बट आई वाज एबल टू अंडरस्टैंड माय ओन वे, और उस तरह से क्वेश्चन नहीं है. आई वाज एबल टू अंडरस्टैंड क्या आप कहना चाह रहे हैं एंड व्हाट इट इज बेसिकली. So 3 areas which you have covered, your gut, your environment, your diet. तो सब मतलब I was able to understand basic, मतलब इस तरह से क्या आप कहना चाह रहे हैं and how I was able to say.
Okay, so चलो ठीक है, हमारा क्वेश्चन है आपके लिए. तो what choices are you now going to make to ensure that कि आपको chronic inflammation ना हो आगे, अगर नहीं है तो?
तो फर्स्ट थिंग जो मुझे लगता है कि जिस तरह से आपने डिफाइन किया व्हाट इन्फ्लेमेशन है, तो मुझे लग रहा है कि जो कभी मेरे पेट में ऐसी बस हल्का सा दर्द रहता है, तो आई थिंक वो एक इन्फ्लेमेशन ही होता होगा, क्योंकि मुझे समझ नहीं आता, क्योंकि कई बार मैंने टेस्ट भी करवाए थे लीवर वगैरह में, और वो सब कुछ ठीक निकला, तो समझ नहीं आएगा मतलब क्यों होता रहता है, तो उसको मतलब वही एक रीजन होगा. सो नाउ व्हाट आई एम गोइंग टू डू इज ऑलरेडी कर ही रहेंगे. फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल अपने गट के हेल्थ का ध्यान रखना है बाय ईटिंग अप्रोप्रिएट. प्रोसेस फूड एकदम हटा दिया है और शुगर को कंट्रोल कर ही रहे हैं. तो वो जो आपने पूरा प्रोसेस में बताया है वो तुम फॉलो कर ही रहे हैं, और धीरे धीरे अब मेरे सप्लीमेंट्स भी आ गए, तो मैं बिल्कुल स्ट्रिक्टली उसको स्टार्ट कर दूंगा फॉलो करना. सेकेंड, तो डाइट में तो यही चेंज हुए, और एक मिनट, और गट और डाइट बेसिकली दोनों जो है मेरी, वो तो आप थ्रू ही रिजॉल्व हो रहा है. एनवायरमेंट जैसे आपने बताया कि कई बार हमारे जैसे अब पॉल्यूशन अब नहीं है, तो वो तो अब इट्स अ पार्ट ऑफ अस नाउ आई थिंक, एंड वी हैव टू टैकल. अगर होता है मेरा ये था कि अगर स्लीप इज अ गुड चॉइस की नेक्स्ट सेशन आप लें उस पर. एक अगर आप जैसे कि हम लोग जैसे मूड कई बार एकदम चेंज होता है, अगर उस पर भी क्या वो भी कहीं ना कहीं हमारे जो हम कंज्यूम कर रहे हैं या जो हमारे मतलब लाइफ स्टाइल है उसके बेसिस पे मूड चेंज होते हैं या मूड चेंज होते हैं, अगर आप वो भी कवर कर पाए तो आई थिंक.
Indeed. So ये जो सजेशंस मिल रहे हैं, we'll put them to vote कि इस पे से most of the members किस पे चाहते हैं. We'll note these inputs and then have a vote on this. So anybody else? Taran, you want to ask something? Ritesh sir? Purnima? Purnima is going to join the next batch, but if you have you can throw some questions to us, we can clarify, that would be great.
So, hi Vivek, hi Sunil, and hi everyone. I just wanted to know, from past few days, my left arm, I'm getting a lot of pain. So I don't know, it's not at the shoulder level, but little below it. And when I'm pressing it, it's paining. So I don't know whether it was a posture of sleep or some inflammation. I'm not able to figure out. I didn't go to any doctor, but I'm just trying to massage and see what is coming out of it. Doing some so I'm doing some oil massages on my feet also, and that's a usual practice every week. So I just wanted to understand if you can just throw light. I don't know, there is some pain under, just below the shoulder, and when I'm actually touching it, it's paining me. So I don't know whether I got some hurt, I bumped into something. I really don't, because it's not visible, but then I could see some red inflammation. So maybe something got pressed, some nerve. I have no clue, but then this is happening on my left
So,
shoulder.
this is happening since when?
It's been 2 weeks, but it's not obvious when I'm working throughout the day. When I actually am about to sleep, during my sleeping pattern, when I sleep, then I realize that it's paining, but it doesn't happen throughout the day. I don't realize it.
Okay. So yeah, we can, have a look at it again. We can carry out your PSR levels or CRP. We can actually try to diagnose
इसमें
with
ना
this further.
actually I'll tell you
But
the thing is कि if you're touching it and it is paining you, so that is physical. It is because of a trauma, and what
it's
you're having
acute.
is a post-traumatic pain which is going on because inflammation again पूरी class हो गई. Inflammation छू के दर्द वाला inflammation नहीं है.
हाँ, नहीं है,
So
right.
what you are having is a trauma, and what you are having are post-traumatic signs. For example, like I was talking about spondylitis earlier also. Post-traumatic osteoarthritis, what the pain which is undergoing by people who are wearing those neck this thing. So the same way, what you are having is not all these things, but it is a phenomena of a post trauma, because since if you are able to touch it and you're feeling कि छूने के बाद दर्द हो रहा है, so it is to do with a trauma. That much is sure. However, in our next interaction, 101, whenever it is there, I will be again asking you maybe 15-20 questions, and then I will be able to tell you. That is my style.
Okay, fine, Sonal. Thank you.
Sunil, one question for you. At the beginning of the call, you made a distinction between what is a syndrome and what's a disease. And I believe leaky gut comes under the umbrella of being a syndrome. So sounds pretty straightforward, but then one, why can't it be medically diagnosed today? And second is, why is it not categorized as a disease?
No, it is not categorized as a disease because it is a syndrome. A syndrome is a thing. If a syndrome, by definition, is that what we don't know much about, but we know that phenomena is occurring. But like we say, क्या बोलते हैं ना, like AIDS is a syndrome. So the thing is, the same way it is a syndrome where we don't have a proper prognosis and a cure about it. Then it becomes a disease. Once it becomes a disease, we know that okay, this is a thing which is not making us ease. It is a dis-ease and we have to do these steps in order to face this disease. A syndrome is a thing which we don't have. We don't know. For example, this celiac disease and gluten this thing and gluten intolerance. Now the thing is, gluten tolerance is a kind of syndrome, but celiac is a disease because we know that that celiac disease is caused because of too much of gluten in your intestine and certain things, and if you take out the gluten out of it, the celiac disease gets means it is you are able to control it. That's why it is a disease. Same way when you're talking about anything which is syndrome. So if you're asking me why a thing is a syndrome and not a disease, is again it is a very I would rather say, means people in the world are not able to know why it is a syndrome. So I will not be able to answer you because there is too much of less information about a thing. That's why it is a syndrome.
So
Okay, for
basically,
example, as we said, like PCOS,
Mhm.
it is a syndrome because ovaries में your what do you call your eggs are prone to become cysts. Okay, but in PCOD, it is very, very simple that we know that क्या बोलते हैं, it is actually release of immature eggs. Eggs have not become mature and immature eggs are being released. So it's a disease. We know that it can be done, but some phenomena is making your क्या बोलते हैं, eggs in the ovary itself turning it into cysts. So it is a syndrome, and it is happening because of a lot of endocrine balances, and there are a lot of theories about it. But exact cause is not being found. I'm not saying cure, but cause is not being found. That's what is called a
So,
syndrome.
so the mechanism hai where we say that, let's say, lack of fiber or bad bacteria that eats into the intestinal cell walls, which basically causes a leaky gut for the microbes to leak into the bloodstream, and an inflammatory response comes in. ये जो cycle है, you are saying this is well established. This is no longer a theory.
Yeah.
This is a fact.
yeah, it is a fact. You know,
It is a proper
people,
fact.
medical science tends to call it as leaky gut को भी वो syndrome ही बोलते हैं, because
Hmm.
cure क्या है? उनको
And
तो
it
एक
can
cure
cause,
चाहिए ना.
and it is
हाँ.
what he's saying is this cycle causes leaky gut. That is sure. But leaky gut is caused by 100 and other one more things also, which we still don't know.
The other thing was, we spoke about lack of fiber causing this, but agar someone has a lot of sugar in their diet,
Still,
that should be good for the bacteria. I mean,
no.
मतलब, what I'm coming to is कि good for the bacteria in sense कि even sugar is considered as a dessert as far as the bacteria diet is.
Yes, but the thing is that कि क्या बोलते हैं, the amount of what I'm saying is like carbs and other things are kind of pure sugar. The bacteria in your body, the gut is not, they are not able to digest it properly. The actually fiber, the difference between sugar, other things, and fiber has got a very thick cell. Okay, the cellular cell membrane, not thick cell membrane. So like if you see the cells in the plant and cells with us, our cells membrane is not as thick and as impermeable than the wood and the plants and other things. Fiber has got a thick cell. Fiber ultimately breaks down into glucose, but this is what the microbes have. If you say कि मैं sugar खाते रहूंगा और sugar मेरे microbes को ठीक करेगी, no, sugar microbes को destroy करेगी. It will not. It is not कि आप yeast को बढ़ाने के लिए उसमें sugar डालते हो तो वो yeast बढ़ जाती है.
देखो, what is
90%
fiber?
people start comparing yeast with gut bio. Please don't do that.
देखो, what is fiber? Fiber is a complex carbohydrate. ठीक है, ये तो पता ही
Ultimately
है.
breaks down.
Carbohydrate ही है. So, but that is a carbohydrate which we can't digest. That is a carbohydrate which the microbes digest. तो हमने सब कुछ उल्टा कर दिया है आजकल अपने सिस्टम में. वी आर हैविंग सिंपल कार्बोहाइड्रेट, जबकि हमें ज्यादा कॉम्प्लेक्स कार्बोहाइड्रेट खाना चाहिए. ठीक है, वी शुड बी हैविंग फाइबर, मोर ऑफ इट. फिर हमें फैट्स जो हैं वो भी हमने उल्टे कर दिए हैं. हमें नेचुरल फैट्स खाने चाहिए, हम प्रोसेस खा रहे हैं, विच आर क्रिएटिंग ट्रांस फैट्स. तो हम ये दो चीजें ही अगर हम सॉर्ट आउट कर लेंगे तो हमारा हेल्थ इज गोइंग टू बी ड्रास्टिकली चेंज्ड फॉर बेटर.
If I add on it, Saurabh, just remember, अगर आपको means I will make a bold statement that if you see the food pyramid which is floated in the world, you have to really understand that if you actually reverse it, it is much better. Okay, the pyramid जो नीचे है उसके जो bottom में दे रखा है कि you have to have आटा, carbs, pasta, or means all these things, means carb का नीचे लंबा है उस pyramid में, उसको पूरा उल्टा करके उसको टिप पे ले जाओ, टिप को नीचे ले जाओ. Just if you reverse it and see it, that is the way our diet was supposed to be. And why this food pyramid was created in 1977 and then it came to percolated, it is a very historical thing to do with a guy called Ansel Keys. Okay, he's so that also subject in some other time we will tell you, because this is an interesting thing that why our diet today is the way it is and why it is wrong is something which I feel that everybody should know. कि भैया जो मेरी
What
lifestyle
was
थी वो
before
गलत क्यों
that
थी?
also?
So
What
we will
was
be
before
having
that?
that historical class in which we will be telling you that जो हमारे परदादा खाते थे वो हमने बंद कर किया, और now we started having something else because of some research in 70s, because of which a kind of lifestyle of food pyramid was created, which itself was flawed.
Okay, so any more questions from anybody?
some people who are making desserts in today's world, some bakers and all, they are, highlighting khand, and they're saying we're not using sugar, we're using khand, and they're trying to make it very fancy.
Yeah.
So is khand better than sugar, or I feel it's a form of a sugar only. I mean, but they are just glorifying it and selling it under khand is better than sugar.
Yeah.
So आप poison normal तरीके से खा लो filtered वाला, या poison में थोड़े से mineral और vitamin add करके खा लो मैम?
No, the statement is correct. Khand is better than poison. But the thing is, lesser of the evil, and evil, or whatever you want to call it,
Exactly.
that way.
So sugar is
Now
sugar.
the another question arises is that हमारे पूर्वज तो ये गुड़ और खांड अच्छी तरह खाते थे, वो तो हट्टे कट्टे रहते थे, हम क्यों नहीं रह सकते? This is a question everybody है. खांड तो बचपन से हमारे उसमें शक्कर कहते हैं या कुछ और कहते हैं ना?
Right.
Again, this is what I would like to. These are the questions which generally in one-to-one interaction used to happen. So I'll just tell one small thing, that the state of your body right now is not supposed to have even शहद. For example, all our Ayurveda everywhere, शहद is a very good thing.
Right.
हमारे पूर्वज उस समय सवेरे शाम काम करते थे, and they used to have 2 वक्त की रोटी, and there was no snacking, there was no क्या बोलते हैं beering or pubs, or there was no chips, or there was nothing. We are trying to get our lives back together in a 21st century atmosphere of, at every step you will find some food in your house, packet, stored or outside, that you will be munching. Time pass के लिए लोग खाते हैं चाय के साथ बिस्किट. So for them, khand and shahad and all these things are very, very bad. If you start living the way our ancestors used to live, सवेरे से शाम physical work and 2 वक्त की रोटी, and उसमें भी क्या खाते थे, उनके लिए शहद and khand will be very, very helpful.
Right.
But for us who already have so much of poisons, so much of toxins, in fact, toxicity of the body is too much. The amount of insecticides, pesticides, in everything which we are having, and the MSG, which is there in all kinds of food of restaurants. So in this already poisonous body, sugar, khand, shahad, all these things are actually poisons.
Right.
So, one last question, and then we will close, because the session was planned for an hour. It's going to be now 2 hours now. So we have exceeded the time quite a bit, and it's a festive day. So everybody has to get back into preparing some things to be now.
Yes.
Or eating it. And so would I. But one last question. Yeah, Punema, you've been a patient listener. Any question from your side? Yeah, you're on mute. If you can unmute yourself first.
I'm just trying to understand everything which you all are discussing. And it was really a nice session for me, because I've learned a lot of things, and I came to know that what is inflammation and what all happens in my body at times.
Okay, chalo, that's a good start. So she'll be joining the next batch, and we'll be seeing her, quite often. So if there are no further questions, then we'll wrap it up. I'll thank everybody, and do let us know how you felt about the session. We have recorded the session, so we'll be putting up, shortly we'll be having a YouTube channel where we'll put up all these things, so that anybody else who was supposed to be joining and who is not joined can have a look at it. So that's about it. So thank you, everybody. If no further questions, then you're all free to leave.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much, Big G.
Have a good day. Bye-bye.
Thank you.